Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Friday, the 17th day of September, 2025, Friday of the 15th week of the year, the 15th week in Ordinary Time. Doing this in the car because I am at a doctor's appointment, and I'm not going to get a chance to do this before the 11 o'clock deadline for these things. It's been just such a busy week. I can't believe this. And so before I turned off everything in the car so that it doesn't record the sound incorrectly or whatever it is sometimes. So, but just quickly for this Friday of the 15th week of the year, the 15th week in Ordinary Time, we have a very quick overview basically of the plagues, which really wasn't even an overview of the plagues. Just Pharaoh is obstinate, will not listen to Moses or to Aaron. And so now the final plague, the death of the firstborn, has to be laid upon the Egyptians. But what happens for the Israelites, again, is the marking of the houses. And that is done from the blood of lambs that are eaten like people in flight. So the establishment of the Passover, of Pesach, the 14th of Nisan, in the calendar, to be the first day of the calendar, to be the most important day of the calendar. Again, this will fight in some ways with the September Rosh Hashanah, New Year of the Harvest. Again, two different cultures combining together in Israel, one that was agrarian and then one that was more pastoral with herds and things like that. So you kind of have two different New Years, but Passover being the one that is most important. And so the Israelites to eat this meal in flight because the angel of the Lord is passing over, will pass over the houses of those that are marked with the blood of the Lamb, and then unfortunately strike down all of the Egyptians. Again, this blood of the Lamb, becomes then expanded to see Jesus's crucifixion in the same way. Again, we have to be careful with that because we do not negate the Passover for Judaism, nor do we negate God's activity in Judaism. But again, the similarity of moving from death to life, of moving through oppression to freedom, again, is experienced in both actions, in both experiences like that. In the Matthew's Gospel itself, Jesus is passing through a field with the apostles, and they're picking grain from the stalks that are there. It is, however, unfortunately, the Passover, and so the Pharisees and the scribes, get very indignant that that you're doing work, picking grain. Eating is not a problem, but picking the grain to eat is a problem. And Jesus basically says to them again, stop being so hypocritical. Again, David ate the bread that was for the priests in the temple when he and his army were hungry. One time. Again, for whom is the Sabbath made? Is it made for us, or are we made for the Sabbath? And again, that important remark, again, laws and regulations that primarily are misinterpreted or interpreted so narrowly by human beings do not help faith, which is important always to realize, even through canon law that we have, through the various laws and prescriptions that have arisen on what we're supposed to do and not supposed to do to be faithful believers in this world. We have to make sure that, again, that they are of God and that they are not just of our humanity wanting to keep an order and control that we cannot keep because it is not capable for us to do so. The more that we hurt each other by laws and regulations, the more the gospel is stunted and the good news is not shared. We must be people who are always, aware of what is given to us by God and what is given to us, by ourselves. As Jesus says, he is Lord of the Sabbath, and because of that, his decision is ultimately what matters. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.